I grew up in Monterey, California, see every nook and cranny of the city.
Totally.
Like Salt Lake City means so much to me. And there's got to be some place for concierge concepts. And he's like, I want to go to lunch with you. And I went to lunch with him, and he said, I'd love to partner. Let's take this thing. And my advice to them was, I love it when something goes wrong after the sale. I'm not saying I hope bad things happen. I'm just saying I love the opportunity to serve people above what they think when I've already been paid, right? I mean, we go as far, I don't know if you knew this, but we go as far as tuning their bike and skis for them.
Oh, wow.
Everything led me to this point. Like, there was nothing that I did necessarily. And if things that I thought were important could be gone like a snap.
Yep.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. Why?
Like, I was at a point where I was like, I cannot do this alone.
Yep.
Right. Anyone that's not stoked for someone else's success, there's a problem there. Dude, I don't know if there's something wrong with me and I just believe in my company so much, but it's like I'm back in the stage, blinders on. I'm like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think when people first, money follows. That's kind of been my motto.
Yeah. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Small Lake City Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nilsson, and this week we have Warner Trabert on the podcast. Now, Warner Trabert is the founder of Fleetly, a car concierge service here in Salt Lake that he has started himself. And I've known Warner for the better part of 20 years, but here we learn more about him moving to Salt Lake from California, growing up skateboarding around the valley, working at the Strong Audi dealership for about 10 years until he decided to bet on himself and chase the company that he wanted to build. So a great story, a lot of insights into him and his life, and also anybody who feels like they need to take a risk and bet on themselves. Definitely a thing or two we can all learn from it. So enjoy.
I was like, I used to like do tricks down this. Like, no, you didn't, Dad. Like, you're lying, Yeah. And I was like, no, I used to do it. You want to see me do something? And this was like 2 years ago.
Right.
And, and I was like, no, I'll hook it right now. So I like roll up to it. I'm like, I'm going to ollie this right now. And like, you guys are going to be shocked, completely eat it so hard, bro. All my kids, dude, like just scabbed up, like everything. My daughter's like, Dad, don't do it again. Please don't do it again. And I was like, I think I'm going to try it again.
Yeah,
like I did that. Like I kick flipped and like attempted to backside flip this thing. I can ollie it.
Yeah.
But I'm 34 at the time or whatever, and just completely again eat shit, And then I was like, maybe I'm too old for this.
Yeah, I haven't, because last time I went rollerblading was, I think it was in 2020, because I was so cooped up, and I texted my old friends and went, and like it had been, because like when I was in high school, like everybody always talks about me always having like scabs on my knees, scabs on my elbows, like bleeding through my pants. And then obviously you'd stop skating and those heal. And then they came back. I was like, I just used to have this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is wild. And you don't heal as fast. And like the hardest thing is like, how good you have been.
Yeah, that's
and then you're like, why can't I do the same things I thought I could do anymore?
I know. I mean, so like, I broke my foot really bad last year. I don't know if you knew that or not. Did you know that?
No, what'd you do?
I was skateboarding with Zan. Do you know Zan? Mm-hmm. Zan, Jerry, and like the whole like old crew was out.
Yeah.
And we were doing triples, Jerry, Zan, and I, and they're filming, and I'm like doing a triple. We're doing triples like back to back, like really close to each other. And I bailed and broke my metatarsals across the top of my foot. So like the top bones that connect to your toes. And
what'd you do? Just land weird?
Dude, yeah. So like on the coping, my foot like stayed on the coping, and I was trying to bail, and my whole mind thought I was bailing off the coping, and just my toes caught on the coping and just snapped all the top of my metatarsals.
All 4 or 5?
A couple of them in the middle. I think it was just like 2 in the middle. But I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, you fractured your metatarsals. Like, you got to stay off it and do this. And I was like, that looks like a clean break. I think he's like, no, you should come back and do this and physical. I'm like, I'm not ever coming back.
You're not seeing me again.
I was like, that looks clean as can be. I'm not coming back. But like, dude, I've skateboarded twice since then. Oof. I know it's been rough. It's been a year and a half almost. Anyways.
But you still got to do the things that make you happy, even if sometimes they hurt you the most.
But I went to 9th and 9th just to like get broken in and ate it in the bowl, like warming up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
like,
is this a sign saying no more? Like, am I done at 37 almost,
At least you're
Crazy.
not Mike Tyson at 58,
58.
going up against Jake Paul, and
28. Yeah.
that was a hard one to watch, but we did.
I watched it too. I actually put money on Tyson winning.
Oof.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much. Like I looked at a couple places to bet, and I was like part of me each way, right? I'm like, It's Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he's also 58, and this guy's been doing,
he's 30 years younger than him.
Yeah. Like the thought of me fighting someone who's 64.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But then I saw like certain things like a 16-inch glove instead of a 10-inch glove and like all of these things or whatever the padding is. And I was like, they're setting Tyson up not to knock him out.
Yeah.
And then he was holding back the whole time. I felt like.
It's still fun to be able to be like, I saw Tyson in a fight in the ring.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a little sidetrack, but that's...
Hey, no, I never will be the podcast. It's like, all right, everybody, and here we are today with... But on that note, I am excited to sit down today because, Warner, like I've known you and kind of different fragments of your family. Like even the house we're sitting in right now was your aunt's and uncle's house.
Yeah.
Which your cousin Thane Rich was one of my best friends growing up, who lived over by kind of Yellcrest area where I moved into and I met, and then they moved up here and came here a lot. And so it's like almost nostalgic in a way. Like I remember Thane walking around this house with like a Costco sized bag of soybeans.
Oh yeah.
And edamame and just eating them because he was vegetarian for so long and would eat. And I was like, I don't even know what those are, but sure, I'll try one.
This house is so like nostalgic for so many reasons, but like I love like they have like a ski closet, and you can just imagine all the riches being here. Like they've got a ski closet with Thane and Jesse. I showed a video to my son the other day and I put it on. I was like, he was in your room. Like he slept in your room that you're sleeping. He's like, what? No really? Way. No way. He's hooking, he's doing all this crazy stuff. And I was like, yeah, Thane slept in this room. And it's just like really nostalgic to be back here, at this place, but it's awesome. So they've done a good job with it, and we're stoked to be here at the house.
Totally. And it's fun because, Warner Trabert, founder of Fleetly, so much history in Salt Lake and so many different avenues that I'm excited to talk about, because I think there's a lot of different kind of parts of your life that have fit into Salt Lake in a lot of different ways. And most importantly with now, but definitely want to start from the beginning because, starts with tennis roots in California in one of my favorite parts of California.
Yeah.
But walk me through kind of those early days and what got you to Salt Lake physically.
Yeah. So, I grew up in Monterey, California, and my dad was the director of tennis at Pebble Beach Tennis Club. And I was just a little brat, I didn't know. I was like, who knows, just causing problems on Pebble Beach golf course at like 8 years old,
Perfect.
And had no clue what I had. And then in 2000, we moved here and we moved to Harvard, and I had a whole bunch of cousins here. So like I immediately got engulfed by the culture and the people here, and it was like really a welcome home kind of thing. And I was 12 at the time, but then, we met at East High. Mm-hmm. So I went to East High there and then the U. But, I got heavy into skateboarding, filming, and did that. And that really brought out the creative side of what I love about life.
Totally.
And I really attribute that to some of the things and successes that I made, because it makes you look at life differently.
For sure.
People differently. Like, not to go on a rant about skateboarding, but I should say one little note here is, you don't look at race, religion, you don't look at anything. Mm-hmm. You just have your buddies.
Totally.
And you go out and film and you have a good time and you're like, this is what it's about. And nothing else matters. And that was like a big part of my upbringing here in Salt Lake. But my family's been heavily rooted into tennis. So it was very difficult because, each of my siblings are collegiate athletes. And I was never a collegiate athlete. I was a skateboarder, and filmer and editor. And that was interesting that I didn't choose that path. Like my brother was tennis. My sister was soccer at the U. My other sister was volleyball at Westminster. And I, looking back now, I kind of regret it a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, would I do it differently if I did it again? And I wouldn't, So that really kind of shaped me and my creative side of things and just looking at the world differently. Like people, I think skateboarders look at the streets and bladers look at the streets just differently
Totally.
and look at an obstacle differently than someone else might walk right past it. But that also shapes like business ventures, right? Like I think it shapes business ventures. So fast forward a little bit.
I'm going to stop there for a sec because like I love that, and I was talking with, I mean, both Julian Carr about it and Bobby Johnson about it, where the fun thing about, I mean, skate culture in general is, I mean, it's not like you're at the skate park all day, every day, or, I mean, just in a lot of like the high traffic places, but it's like, oh, we're going to go spot hunting in like the warehouses and all the industrial area.
Oh, yeah.
And again, to your point, you see the world differently. Like I'll be staring at like this handrail and people are like, what the hell are you looking like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it.
Yeah,
like,
I know, right?
It's okay.
Yeah. Or like just a bent pole at a gas station. You're like, I could pole jam that like really well to a wall ride. Like I could hit this.
Yeah.
Kate's like, what are you doing at the gas station looking at a bent pole? I'm like, this is like a legit obstacle, you know? And it's like, so that really shapes it. Not to mention you see the city different, like see every nook and cranny of the city.
Totally.
Like Salt Lake City means so much to me, and like going downtown with the friends and filming and seeing the whole parts of the city, you just see it differently. And then you're like, oh, this is the IBM building that I've been skateboarding at forever, you know, and you didn't even know it was IBM, you know?
Yeah.
So I really attribute that to like the early parts of like creativity, right? And looking at things differently. But along with my dad being a very, very big tennis player, he's also an avid skier. He's a crazy good skier.
Because, I mean, for context, like I always played tennis because, I mean, grew up with my family going to Fort Douglas before it was the JCC, where, I mean, in hindsight, talking to my parents about it, like, it was nice. We would just drop you off with a babysitter at 7, and then you would go to swim, you'd go to tennis, you would just swim there and then hang out and be back in the afternoon. But I mean, that was kind of my life. And then it wasn't until middle school where I started playing competitive tennis, where your dad was my, tennis teacher.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah. Him
at the club or where?
At the tennis club.
Wow.
And then, I can't think of her last name or first name, Jepson, there too.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a random connection with her. I was went on a date with someone on a hike. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm planning on this thing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, what's her name? Like something Jepson. I'm like, is their mother this person? She's like, yeah. I'm like, ask them if they know me. And like, she texted me a week later. She's like, oh yeah, she remembers you. It's like teaching you playing tennis. I'm like,
oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I mean, I remember spending so much time at tennis club, so many baskets of balls, so many lessons, with Tony and everybody, that it's so fun to see. I mean, he's still there doing his thing.
He is, yeah.
And that's inspiring, but it's fun to see how much of, that tennis community that he's built and shaped.
Yeah. He's done a great job up there, and, he's 67 still teaching, and he does tennis for tutoring, which is a nonprofit. And I just think it's awesome that he's giving back now. But we went on a big ski trip with him. So like, because he's such a big skier, he's like, we usually do a ski trip. Like we've been to France and skied, and he's like, let's do a round. So let's do Jackson, let's do Targhee, and let's do Big Sky. I'm like, that sounds great to me. Let's do it.
Sign me up.
Well, we're going to Big Sky, and his friend, his SIG brother, calls him up and is like, why don't you come ski Yellowstone Club? And so we go to Yellowstone Club in Montana, and Yellowstone Club is like, 1,000 members, maybe. It's like pretty incredible. Well, I pulled my car up, and I'm like getting my stuff out and like so worried about my car at the time. And he's like, oh no, don't worry about it. Like we're going to have everything loaded. So I walk through, no credit cards are taken at this place. There's only so many members, and they had the skis at the lift ready for us, everything in our house that we were staying at, and powder for like weeks. Ugh. And the concierge concept that they brought and that I saw was a huge part of like how Fleetly was born, because I was like, this needs to be this like concierge skiing and lodging, and this aspect needs to be brought to cars. And I was heavy at Audi at this time. Like I was 10 years at Audi as a salesman there. And I was like, this is missing. Like I saw the car business going downhill in regards to, going above and beyond for someone. Like if someone were to buy a car from me and I'm like, I'm going to go up to Park City and program the garage, right? I would be gone for 2 hours. My managers would be like, no, you're not. You're not going to be gone for 2 hours off the floor. Sell another one. Yeah. Let's go. Like, look, I was like, no, but this person's 80 and like needs help and needs this, needs that. Like, we'll send someone else up there. And so I saw the direction of the car industry going downhill with customer service and with going above and beyond. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's got to be some place for concierge concepts and clients that buy cars or need maintenance on cars. There's got to be a fit here, right?
Right.
Ironically, what happened after that was I was servicing a client's car from the FBO. He flies privately for business. And he would always call me up and be like, can you do this? Can you do that while I'm gone? Like, can you pick it up and drop it off after and do this stuff? And it just clicked.
You're like, wait a minute.
I literally just clicked like overnight. I was there with his airport manager. And I was like, okay, who owns all these cars out here sitting on the tarmac? They're getting snowed on. At the time it was winter and it was Bentleys, G-Wagons, Audis, Porsches, all on the tarmac. And he's like, the clients own them. And I was like, well, aren't they just so mad when they fly back from Africa, Hawaii, wherever they're coming from on their private plane to come back to who knows what's going to be happening with my G-Wagon?
Yeah.
He's like, that's not our business. Our hangars are for planes and our business is planes. I said, well, I'm going to take, those people are going to be my people.
Yeah.
And I still had a full-time job and I'm like already planning this whole thing. And that, I don't know if you knew this, but that actually was the start of Car Concierge. That was my initial company, was Car Concierge. I started it and ran it for about a year on my own. And ironically, about a year into it, I only had a couple clients, side business, completely side business, just to test out this theory, right? Does this work and do people need it? Well, it was growing and I was super happy because I was working full-time at Audi and I had my side gig going well. And that same client that I did all the FBO work for and all the stuff running back and forth, servicing while he's out of town, he's like, I want to go to lunch with you. And I went to lunch with him and he said, I'd love to partner. Let's take this thing. I was shocked. I was like, okay, let's go.
You're like, all right,
let's go. Like, let's do this. Like, I'm pumped. Let's go. And just to see someone that believed in me as a person and also the concept that I had like worked up, I showed him my business plan and what I wanted to do as far as growth. And he was gung ho, like fully on board. So after that, I was still at Audi for about a year, even though I had Salt Lake Warehouse. So I opened up Salt Lake Warehouse.
Was this something that, Audi knew that you had this side hustle or like thing you were building, or was it pretty quiet?
Well, and I know the Strongs very well. So, so I knew the Strongs and luckily I was in a position where it wasn't just because I knew the Strongs, but also because I had my client base. I was there almost 10 years at the time. And I would just schedule my appointments how I wanted to with those clients and they were fine with it. And I'd come and go as I needed to and come in for my clients and my appointments and hand off the ones that I didn't know or that were referred that I didn't need to necessarily be there for because I was starting another company,
Right.
So it was pretty demanding at the time. And so they knew what was going on. I think a lot of them were like, yeah, we'll see if this works,
right.
like kind of thing. Like,
he has good enough of a book of business. He's still bringing in money.
Yeah.
And if he wants to go work on this little side thing, as long as things aren't going wrong, have fun.
Exactly. And honestly, doing my business helped me as a salesperson too, because I brought a lot of people. I had a lot of cross.
That makes sense.
Tons and tons of synergy and crossover both. Salt Lake opened and it became Fleetly Group, and we just started, blowing up. We started bringing clients in from everywhere, from Morgan to Park City, Heber, And then we started going outside of the United States, which was really, really good for us because we got a lot of Chicago people, Texas people, Florida people that just fly, and California, that fly in frequently that can utilize our services, right? So that's how it like springboarded and started to work out. And
I guess talk to me about like what you're actually doing for the customers of Fleetly.
What the service is.
Because obviously if I had a Bentley or a G-Wagon, which I don't and probably won't, I would not want to be sitting in a tarmac, whether it's in the middle of the summer and 100 degrees cooking, or if it's in the winter and now I just landed in my PJ and I have to go scrape snow off my car. Probably not the experience I want to have.
Or how much gas do I have? Or
lack thereof.
Or are my stickers due? Like, so what Fleetly does, and a lot of people think it's just for people that have second homes or travel or have to have this certain net worth. That's not the case. Like, we do everything for everyone. I mean, I have a VW Tiguan that's under my regular subscription right now. And the reason I share that is just because we do home and office stuff. I think it's very affordable. If you park at the airport for $35 to $55 a day, you could utilize Fleetly's services. So we do $75 a day. While you're out of town, we service, detail, emissions, painless dent repair, anything you need done on your car while you're gone, we do, and return it back to the airport. So you have this valet experience that's like on steroids.
Perfect.
Right? So you can do that on a monthly subscription if you do have a second home where you're gone for a month, or you can do it on a daily rate. Our home and office package is brand new and it's been doing really well, which is for locals. Our local community has been like really behind this, and people work a lot and people have a lot of other things going on with family, friends, ski trips, bike trips, golf, whatever. And so we have a home and office package, and we come to your home or office to top off your gas, detail your car, take it to service, put on your snow tires, whatever you need done on your car at that moment. You just would plug into our app. Our app is almost finished. So once that app is done, you just would request. You just would make a simple request on there. We come, deploy our team. They would do whatever's needed from your home and office, and then you walk out after working. I mean, imagine if you're at Edison House. Yeah. You're working all day, just busting it, right? And you come out to a detailed car that's full of gas.
That's the experience out, because the amount of times I am busy with 20 other things, whether that be life, podcast, work, whatever it might be. And then I get in my car, I'm like, and my gas light's on. Or, oh no, I didn't realize that my tags are expired for 2 months. Or look at my car. It looks like I've been living in here for a month.
Of course. And that's everyone.
Yeah.
And that's everyone. No one wants to deal with car stuff.
No.
And so I found that convenience of vehicles is just the best way to service our client base. Like, how many people have a rock chip in their windshield?
I currently have one. Yes.
Yeah, I know, right? And guess what's going to happen? It's freezing cold. You're going to blast your heater and it's going to start spreading, and you'll be like, oh, it's too late, And that's the type of thing that we really specialize in. We anticipate the needs of the client for them because we're car people, right? So not only do we do the things that need to be done regardless. So if they have a curbed wheel and they haven't requested it, but they're out of town and we know that they would want it done, we're going to have a pre-authorized amount that they can say, like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii with my family. Don't bug me. Here's my dollar amount that I'm comfortable with, and just do what needs to be done. That gives us authorization to say, hey, we know there's a curbed wheel, a rock chip, maybe new wiper blades. We're just going to do those items for them. But on the flip side, so that's spending money for the client. But on the flip side, for saving money, when we're at the dealership for them, we advocate for what they don't need too. That's a big part of it. And that's what property management companies, I feel like, miss out on. They haven't been in the dealership world to know, hey, we can hold off on this. Why are you charging me for this?
Yeah.
Or let's do this and hold off and do this. And we do that nonstop for clients. Like, let's save this for the next service schedule, because they don't quite need it yet, because they only have 20,000 miles on a 2016.
Yeah, they don't. There's so many things. Yeah, because I mean, the amount of times I go to get my oil change, go to the car, I mean, the dealership, whatever, and they're like, perfect example. Last time I went there to get my oil changed, change my oil, they're like, well, you need to get your filters replaced. You need to have your, I mean, and like 3 of the 5 things they recommended were 3 things that I had done within the past month.
Of course.
And I was like, no.
Gotcha.
Like, no, I don't actually. Funny you should mention that. And like, nobody, like, they have to make a buck. Everybody has to make a buck, but like trust doesn't want to be broken. And I would rather, I mean, like think about it, like the comparison that comes to my mind is like a lawyer. Like if I have an issue and I'm someone with my own personal attorney, I'm like, cool, like you go deal with this. I don't want to have to deal with this. And that, I mean, with car stuff, that's a big one, but then also just having these conversations and pushing back and knowing what you want. Cause I mean, you have 10 plus years at Audi experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, Daniel Claflin, who works for you, a lot of time and experience at Nate Wade and involved in that world. So,
well, we also have, I hired a guy named Nicholas Faulkner too, who it was in the high-end vehicle rental space for a while. And like these types of people are the people we're targeting to hire, right? So local people that know cars, know products, know vendors, like have a good relationship with people. So we can just confidently say, we're going to be your advocate for you. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it in your stead. And you're not wasting 3 hours at a dealership, right? Like no more loaner cars, no more wasted time buying or selling a vehicle. We do that as well. We buy and sell a vehicle for them.
That's huge. I hate that. That is my least favorite thing in the world. Buying fine. Actually, no. Actually, buying not fine. The amount of times
of course.
I've learned every time I buy a car or buy most things where I know there's like a hefty commission involved.
Yeah.
If I walk out and they're like want to be my friend and so stoked, I know that I just got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
If we both leave and we're both equally annoyed at each other, I got my value.
Yeah, of course. I remember. So after I was there for like probably 10 or so years, they had a meeting with all the salesmen. Like we had Saturday meetings, right? And they highlight people, whatever. And it was myself and another very seasoned salesperson. They're like, we want you to speak and say what's worked for you. There's a lot of new guys. Like, say what's worked for you. And I stood up there and I put a lot of time into it. And I was like, okay, what is the most beneficial thing I could say to these younger guys that are starting to sell cars? And my advice to them was, I love it when something goes wrong after the sale. That's my favorite thing. And all of them are like, what are you talking about? Like, we want it smooth the whole way, all the way. I was like, no, you've been paid your commission. You've already done your stuff, all smiles, all happy. They just drove off with their new car. Then they get a rock chip or a tire blowout. How's Eric going to step up? What's he going to do for me, right? Is he going to even answer my call? What's he going to do? And then what I loved about it is you do it, you drive to Park City, you fix their windshield or help them with a tech problem, or you fix their flat, help them with roadside, whatever it might be. That person's locked in your phone, dude.
Yeah.
That person is locked and loaded in your phone. Everything goes smoothly. They won't even remember your name.
No.
I'm not saying I hope bad things happen. I'm just saying I love the opportunity to serve people above what they think when I've already been paid, right? And that thing, what I just mentioned, is like very difficult to find in the car business right now.
Yeah.
I think it was a very common culture early on, which Daniel Claflin has, and the people we are hiring. But to have someone that will do something and show their character after they've been paid is very unique. And that's our culture that we're creating, right?
Yeah.
And then they give it to their kids, they give it to their uncle, they give it to their friends, and all of a sudden you've got a pipeline.
Totally.
Right? You've got these people that you automatically get and you're selling cars. But as a salesman for me, I knew when I was selling cars, I was like, this is a miserable experience for this person. They're probably frightened on what's going to happen when they go into finance. They don't want to test drive a car with a salesperson. How many times is this person going to call me and bother me? Like, these are questions that people have when they're buying a car. I knew it, right? It's a daunting process. I just started buying cars for people. So I just would go and negotiate deals for people and bring them the contract with their new car.
They sign,
They sign, never step foot in the dealership. Yeah, never stepped foot in the dealership. I handled their trade, made sure I evaluated their trade numbers, made sure it was within market or slightly above. Hopefully activated as many discounts or rebates that I possibly could on the new car side. And then they have a brand new car.
I can't imagine being like, oh, cool, I just did a trip with my buddies to the Swiss Alps, and I get back and my brand new SQ7 is waiting for me, not on the tarmac, but right in front of me, just ready to go.
Ready to go with trust too.
Yeah.
Like this is like the hardest thing about Fleetly has been marketing. Marketing has been my hardest thing because it takes time to build trust with people. And typically my clients aren't watching TV, looking at billboards, or doing it through the regular media outlets to get good marketing. It's a lot of word of mouth. That's why I'm so grateful to be on the podcast. I think this is very, very helpful. I love what you're doing too. And spotlighting companies, I think, is just, first of all, just awesome to do because you get insights on each of those companies and how they got started. Mm-hmm. But also helps those companies that are local companies. So hat off to you, man.
Oh, thanks,
it's awesome. It really is awesome. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with our clients is trust. You know, we build the trust and it takes time. And then if you build trust with the right person that says to his friend, hey, this guy's so-and-so, there's automatic trust there.
Yep.
So it's not only they come back from their trip and they see a brand new SQ7, they know they didn't get screwed.
Yeah.
They know that they got the right products on finance, that their terms are set up the right way for them, their trade numbers right, and now they're driving off happy, right?
Totally.
And so that's really what we do, like across the board. Everything related to cars we do typically while you're away, but we can do it from your home and office as well while you're working or with your family. And it's worked out very well. It's worked out very well.
And one thing that came to mind when you talk about trust, because I agree, like the things that work the best are the things that work the smoothest. Because in a perfect world, you do everything for your client. They have pre-authorizations to do whatever you need to, and everything is smooth. The car is waiting for where there is, tank is full, the check engine light isn't on. Like everything should work as it should.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about trust is trust has to have opportunities to be built. Like you don't, like sure. I've learned in my life, sometimes the hard way, sometimes the good way, that like I can't trust everybody. Like I'll always respect people, but it doesn't mean I will trust them.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get to trust is if you have opportunities to trust someone. And so it's like if someone's like, hey, I need you to be here at 6:30 so you can do this.
Yeah.
If they show up at 7, trust is gone. If they show up at 6:25 holding everything they asked you to and ready to go, that's a check mark on being able to be trusted. And you have enough of those where it starts to add up. And in the case of Audi, well, you have enough of these. We're like, hey, yep, I'm up there to go program your garage. I'm here because you have a flat on the freeway, and because it was a nail, it had nothing to do with me, but I'm here to roll up my sleeves and swap that out for you. That's what gets trust. Because like, and I'm also the type of person that if someone asks me for a recommendation, I will not give someone a recommendation unless I'm willing to put my reputation on the line.
Of course.
Like I'm not just a very passive, oh yeah, sure, go here. You're looking for this, do that. I'm like, no. If you want, the one I always give is if someone wants a breakfast sandwich, you're going to Central 9th Market. I will put my life, reputation,
That's a plug.
everything.
That's a plug right there.
Oh, they know how much actually, when I saw you at the Friendsgiving event last week, I think there were 3 or 4 people that were like, hey, thank you for exposing me to the breakfast stand. I was like, my work here is done.
Yeah. And that's, but that takes time.
Yeah.
But the opportunities are always there. It's if you show up for them, right? Like they're always there. Last minute calls, like, I mean, Fleetly we're 24/7. Like I might have a pretty chill afternoon, but I might have a 5 a.m. the next morning, or I might have a midnight tonight that's flying in. We got to prep, make sure everything's ready to go, make sure their flight's on time or not delayed. So all of those things build trust or handling things in the right manner. So not only is it doing those things in the right time, but it's also taking accountability when something does go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it's always better to just acknowledge the fault right? Up front. At least from what I found, you just, hey, that's completely on me. Like, we'll take care of this for you, or we'll do it better next time. And this is why that happened, and we'll make sure it doesn't happen. That also is a way to build trust, I think, with like taking accountability for something that might go wrong, right? If their flight comes in 40 minutes early, for instance, we're not prepped and ready.
Yeah.
And we should be flight tracking, right? And so like those types of things happen. Luckily, we've had a really good track record with being on time, being early, showing up dressed appropriately, doing the right thing with the client, making sure we have, we go as far, I don't know if you knew this, but we go as far as tuning their bike and skis for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If their bike is dirty in the back of their car, I'll spray it off every time. Make sure it's tuned up. I just had a client that said, I just got a blowout and I'm coming on a big bike trip. Will you, go fix my flat? And I went to Cranky's downtown and fixed his flat for him, got it all ready to go, and threw it on the back of his truck, and he's here with his buddies flying in.
Yeah.
Just like that. And
concierge service at its fingertips.
Yep. And that's the Yellowstone Club, and that's also Wasatch Peaks Ranch that's here in Morgan. Like they are very, very good at concierge concepts for skiing and golf and lodging, right? Why not have that with cars?
Why not?
Like, I don't understand why it hasn't been done. And I'm hoping to really break into this sector and cause it's not disrupting anything. It's really supporting people. Like, all I'm doing is supporting dealerships, supporting property management companies, and giving a lot more business to local vendors. Totally. That's the way I look at it,
Totally. I want to go back for a sec, because I know that there's, interesting parts in the story. Especially, one I didn't even know until I was setting up and we were talking about going back to California to go to school and then work for a show that tends to trend pretty popular in the Salt Lake area. But walk me through that exploration and how that started and how it ended up with you back in Salt Lake at Audi.
Yeah. So my grandfather was really big in the film business in Beverly Hills. And
this is your mom's dad?
No. So this is my, well, it's complex, but so my dad's mom was actually Miss Utah.
Okay.
And yeah, she was back in the day, and she married Tony Trabert, who was the tennis player, and they ended up getting divorced, and she remarried a gentleman from Beverly Hills who was really big in the film scene.
Got it. Okay.
So it's technically my step grandpa. But he was so avid, and like I remember him coming home one day and he'd be like so happy, and like we're in Palm Springs, and I'm like, what are you doing differently? Like, I see people come home from work miserable, like just beat up. He's like, I've never worked a day in my life. I love what I do. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get into film. Like, I need to get into film. Like, this is exactly what I'm called for. Like, I'd made skateboarding videos and edited, and he's like, well, I'll have you go to summer UCLA film school at UCLA. Just come bunk up. You can stay with us if you want, or stay on campus. And so I went to UCLA Film School for the summers, and I did this and just fell in love with filmmaking. And when I came back to Utah, I think I did one more skateboarding video and filmed and edited that, and got really familiar with editing softwares and sound softwares and all of that stuff. And then a good friend of mine, Jake Sorensen, got me a job with TLC doing Sisters' Wives. So I was just helping with a lot of the cuts of audio, and tons of footage would come in. At this point, they were in Vegas. I don't know if you know, they got booted out of Utah.
True, yeah.
They were in Vegas, and they shipped a bunch of like just massive amounts of tapes, and I'd go through them all, match them up, and prep them for the main editor to do the final cut.
Which is like the most annoying part of it.
Oh, dude, it was the worst. You
have to go through hours and hours and hours, lining up all sorts of audio and video just to be like, all right, well, have fun. It's the perfect package. Yeah,
and you're just lining up claps and like making sure everything's lined up with 9 cameras or whatever, and what pieces were the most crucial, or this one didn't pick up this good audio. And I did that, and I was inside all the time, and I'm just a moving person. Like, I'm just a mover. And so I saw Sunny Days, and I'm a year in or whatever, 9 months or whatever. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I've got to move. Like, I got to be outside doing something. I can't be in the dark room for deadlines till 1 a.m. and pumping out footage, and I think Jake is still doing it.
That's crazy.
I think Jake Sorensen's still doing it. I don't know for sure. I'd have to check in with him, but I think he's still doing it. Anyways, after that, I did Spy Hop too. Do you know Spy Hop?
Yeah.
I did Spy Hop for a while too. Made some videos there, like independent little teeny stuff that I'd probably look back on
it's
and
fun
be
to
like,
see what they're doing and how much they've grown.
They've done awesome. I did have a tiny place before. They're at 9th South, and a massive building. It looks like they're doing great work. But after that, I was like, I'm just going to go to college and do this. And then my good friend Taylor Strong, he just said, you got to work for my dad's dealership. Like, come work with me at the dealership. So I was like, okay, I'll do that through college. And I ended up I was washing cars and working in the service department. And then when I graduated college, the GM at the time, came up to me and was like, dude, you should really try sales. You should move to sales. And I moved over to sales, and I probably was 3 years in at that point. I'd been detailing, and I was in service too, helping with it's so ironic because what I did in service was I would drive cars. I would road test cars for techs to try to duplicate concerns. So if you had a rattle that was like inconsistent, or you had, maybe a wheel bearing that only happens in cold temperatures or hitting a turn at 80 miles an hour, I'd be the one that would take it from the tech to we can't duplicate this concern. Will you go spin it for 20 miles and see what you can find? And that was my job. That was my gig in service. So I'd find exactly what the concern was, especially when it's not a consistent thing, and bring it back, be like, it's exactly 85 miles per hour.
You're like, I got to the bottom of this. I know what's happening.
Cold start, right in the morning. You got to hit it at the Parley's, entrance,
You just have your routes, you know where to test everything.
Yeah. I got to hit this bump with the right, it's just so funny to me because not to get into the spiritual realm, but I know everything led me to this point. There was nothing that I did necessarily. Everything led me to this concept of Fleetly, which has just been an incredible journey for me. And to see how everything shaped and molded me and opened me up to just saying yes to things that happened and came my way, and didn't ever shut down to things that were scary or nervous for me, or everything led me to this point, which is just so crazy to think about because I feel like I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And then it just ends up, you're on this path. You're like, oh, it all came together like I never knew it would, but it did exactly how it should have.
Are you kidding? Yeah. I can't imagine being in high school and running around and doing all this stuff. And they'd be like, you're going to be a car salesman for almost 15 years and you're going to start a business. I'd be laughing in their face. Yeah. No, I'm going to be a skateboarding bum.
Yeah. Funny you should say that. I already have it all planned out.
Yeah. I got it all planned out. It's going to work smoothly. I've got my plan, but here we are. Totally. And it's an incredible journey looking back. So it's awesome at the same time. And
I totally agree. The last 2 years of my life have been, I don't want to say submissive to because I'm I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in, all of the paths, and there's signs along the way to let you know that you are there. And the past 2 years has been a lot of different changes in my life, from leaving a long-term relationship to, which is hard because then you look at this and you're like, I saw what my entire life was like. And now that is now erased from the whiteboard. And it's okay, no, so what do you want to, what now? It's up to you. There's no other decision making. And it wasn't, I've shared this story so many times on the podcast, but I remember when I recorded the first episode, it was one of those moments. It's all right, you've it's almost reaching this checkpoint. You're okay, this is where you're supposed to be. And I've had so many of those in the past, year and a half, where it's there's irrefutable evidence in my opinion, that I am where I need to be. And I know it's not the end of the road.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that you're on the right road. Yeah. And every single thing that keeps happening, it all feels really good.
Well, just look at what you're doing, and you have people coming to you, and you whenever you have people coming to you and you're so approachable, and you have people coming to you and saying, I love what you're doing. I need to be on this, or I know this person, or whatever it is, right? that's proof enough. Like that's evidence and proof enough that you're doing the right thing at that moment, you know?
Totally.
And the greatest part about it is that could evolve to something else.
Right.
Completely different, or it could be something just escalated in the same field, you know?
Totally.
Which is really, really cool. But I mean, along those same lines, so for me in 2020, I went through a divorce and a long-term marriage and had 3 kids. And I thought at the time I'd arrived, you know, this is everything I've worked for. Like, you know, we've got this house we built. We've cultivated this family. This is great. Like,
it's like every box is checked.
Every box, right, is checked, right? Like I like according to the LDS, like faith too. Like I served a mission. I'm doing my church calling. I have this house and family that I think is like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like I've arrived.
People would have killed to have that.
Like I have this, like, this is great. And like, I remember thinking that in the moment, like how, like I thought at the time I thought I had everything that I wanted. Well, after the divorce, you know, I was crushed and it was very, very difficult. But I remember being like, what's so crazy about it, I'm sure you can attest to this too. People came out of the woodworks that I hadn't even talked to. Like, I won't name names, but like certain people in my family, like, and extended family and friends, and everyone's like, came out of the woodworks to be like, how can I help? I have this tiny apartment. Do you want to get in this apartment? And I remember getting in this apartment and working at Audi still and seeing my 3 kids on the couch, put them to bed. And I was just frantic because I'm working the whole time, have a babysitter and put them down and do the stuff. And I remember thinking, I have everything. I have everything I need. What was I so scared? What did I even have? Mm-hmm. You know, I've got these cute, healthy kids that just want to spend time with me, you know? And we are so blessed to have the support system we have. And I was just going down this list of gratitude of everything that I had been given, right? After I seemingly lost a lot, I was very grateful. And that's what's so interesting about the timing, because the timing then, like it was 6 months later that I had that lunch with my investor and partner. And, you know, I never would have thought. It's just interesting that at the lowest point that I thought was the lowest point was my greatest gratitude journey. That's like the start of my greatest gratitude journey. Right. And I realized I didn't arrive. I probably never will arrive. And I'm going to enjoy every second I get. And if things that I thought were important could be gone like a snap.
Yep.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. Why not?
What the heck? I'm like 30 something years old. Let's go. Like, what are we doing? Let's go for it. You know, let's risk it and go for it. And so that springboarded, like this, like whole thing, like springboarded to, you know, really shotgun fleetly and get it off the ground. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it's just so interesting to see these things line up, be like, no wonder you're here. Like, you're here right now. Yeah. Because it was just meant to be.
Totally. And I love what you talked about when you're in these low moments. It's kind of similar to what I was saying about trust, where you have to have moments where you need to rely on someone for trust to be given and earned.
For sure.
And in the same way, when you are at very low moments or even rock bottom, and depending on the case, the people who show up, and especially show up without you being like, hey man, like I need you or I need this, but they're just show up like, hey man, life's hard. What can I do to help? Or even if you just need me to sit here and listen. Oh yeah. Like the amount of those people that have shown up in my life when I've gone through hard things. And like, that's when real friendships are seen and grown. Because again, like it's so easy to be someone's friend when everything's great. Oh, for sure. Oh, you want me to come over for a barbecue? Awesome. Oh, you want to go skiing? Great. Oh, you want to go skate for the first time in a while? Perfect. Yeah. Oh, hey man, listen, I've never felt so lonely in my life. I need someone to talk to. Oh, the thing is, I've got this stuff and I don't know really how to deal with you or how to talk to you. Yeah. And like I've learned through my own hard times that people get me through those. And so whenever I have a friend that's going through a hard time, I'm usually the first one there.
Yeah.
Because I know how hard it is. But it's the conversations I have with other friends during those is always, I mean, I see where they're coming from, but I strongly disagree, because people be like, well, I don't know how to talk to them. Like, I don't know if they want this. Or like, I don't know if I'm going to hurt their feelings. I'm like, listen, I'm going to show up as easily as I can, even if it's simply just being like, hey man, thinking of you, hope everything's well. Let me know if you need anything.
Yeah.
And then if that goes well, like, sure, like I'm on my way. Let me go grab you dinner. Let me go do this. Because that's what people don't even know that they need. But that's how, I mean, the best of relationships are built. It's during hard times, not easy times.
I would just mimic that so much. I would just say, if there's any question about how do I talk about it, how do I do this, you better just bring them dinner or do something.
Food brings everyone together.
Like that's my opinion. You know, like there's so many hardships and so many people like lost family members or whatever for numerous reasons, and might not want to talk about it or want space, but you can drop something off. Yeah. You could do action. I think that is exactly what I benefited from, right? I benefited from non-solicited help, which essentially saved me. Like I was at a point where I was like, I cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
Right. And then Kate came into my life. Yeah. You know,
how did you, I want to stop there, 'cause I know Kate, like I've known, the Van Wagner family since high school. Yeah. I went to Greek life with the same time as Grace. I went did summer sales with Timmy in Texas.
You mentioned that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Matt Van Wagner, we did an internship in college together. Kate, it was just always kind of this friend group, because even going back to high school, like Taylor Swenson was dating Megan Reichman, who was great friends with Kate Van Wagner. Like all Small Lake City bleeds into everything. Oh yeah. And so I remember, she started showing up on Instagram. I was like, oh, look at this budding little relationship. But how did you guys, start dating, and how did this little newfound love start?
Yeah. So I was with my buddy Pete Dunn. Yep. And he's married to Sarah Stevens, and I was just out to dinner with him when he came in town from California, and he's like, "Do you want to meet up with the Stevens? Like they're out, and let's meet up."
Love the Stevens.
Yeah, right. So I met up with them, and we went out, and it was a great time, and I saw Kate there, and I hadn't seen her for like 10 plus years, maybe 15 years, And I saw her, and I was like, I told Pete early on, like, I'm really interested in Kate, and so like, I already knew that I was interested in her. And, anyways, like at the end of the night, I'm like saying goodbye to everyone, and I end up kissing her. And I didn't know that she was dating someone at the time, and he was there, but that was a little tidbit I found out later. Yeah. But, first meet in 15 years, I ended up giving her a little kiss, and I think it surprised everyone. And, well, like fast forward a little bit, because I was so like, when I found out she had a boyfriend, and like I might have overstepped.
Yeah, you're like, I
was like, maybe I'll just take a step back. Well, she ended up buying a car for me at Audi like 6 months later, and I invited her to Indian Wells, the tennis tournament in Indian Wells, which my sister happens to be marketing, in charge of marketing down there. So I invited her and her friends down there with my friends, and we went to the tennis tournament. And then after that, we just started dating. Yeah. We just started dating.
Man, what a great first official to be like, hey, listen, there's this semi grand slam tournament that happens in one of my favorite places in California. And my sisters run the marketing, and my grandpa, my dad are probably still pretty involved. We're going to go have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And it ended up being like 10 people. Luckily my sister, got us tickets, and ever since, and then after that, it just kind of all springboarded, and we started dating 4 years ago. No. 3 years ago. Sorry. 3 years ago. She was very good at being there. That's what I have to say about Kate. Like it was very, very difficult for me, and I knew where I was at emotionally to give to someone, and I was upfront about it, and it was very difficult for me, because as much as I wanted to be in a relationship and wanted a partner, and not only wanted those things and like desired it, but needed help, like literally needed help, I was not like at a place emotionally to be a good partner for her. And I knew that. And trust me, there was probably 50 times where I would have expected her to leave me, and she didn't. She stuck with me, and like through the hard stuff, like through the really hard stuff, getting through stuff, starting a business, like from ground up.
There's a lot of like when you look at, your life in the past 4 years of what's going on from divorce to now working out, like how to have kids on your own, 3 of them while working and doing all of this, accepting this help from other people, having someone come in, healing from, emotional trauma from everything that happened before.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden finding yourself dating, which hasn't happened in who knows how long before that.
Yeah.
And like, that's a hard process for a lot. Like I remember when I first got out of a long-term relationship, I thought I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like this is good.
Yeah.
And then like 6 months later, I was like, it's like that narrator voice is like, he was not very good.
That was not a good idea.
Yeah. And
well, everyone wants what they don't have, right? Like single people want to be married. Married people want to be single sometimes.
Yes.
I should clarify.
There's enough people that ask vicariously how my dating life's going.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure they're happily married. I don't mean to sound that way, but I'm saying sometimes they're like, getting in the dating scene would be interesting and like a mix up. But like, I'm like, no, people die to be married. Look at what you have, you got something great. But like people always want what they don't have seemingly.
Yes.
Maybe edit that.
Always. But I love with Kate because I love that you said the thing she did was she showed up. And if there's one thing I've learned is most of relationships that we have in life, whether it's family, friends, professional, whatever it might be, all kind of have these same pillars. The first one of which to me is showing up.
Oh, for sure.
Like you can't have a relationship with anybody if they aren't going to be there.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, emotionally. And then, there's communication, there's trust, there's other things. But if you know that someone's like, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm taking time out of my day to help. Especially walking into a situation where,
it's complicated.
Single guy with 3 kids that are like younger, like that can be, for a lot of people I know that date, whether male or female, that's like a hard stop.
Oh, for sure. Like I look at all of it. I look at all of it from her perspective and I was like, would I do that?
Yeah.
And she didn't just show up. She showed up 100%, and I might be at 60 some point. Like I might be at 60% of what I can give. Or 70, or I'm barely surviving, I feel like, and just the fact that she shows up not only for me, but for all of her friends and family. It's just incredible to test to her and her character. And literally I couldn't do Fleetly. I couldn't be the parent I am. I couldn't have a relationship with my ex the way that I would want to without Kate. Right. Like she helps me with all of those things, and hopefully I help her too.
No, and then, obviously you guys, well, not obviously, unless you two, but number 4 is now, you're number 4, her number 1 is on the way, which is so exciting for both of you. Cause again, she's had this role of, I like to call stepmom, but the mom that stepped up. Yeah. And, but now she gets to have that experience of her own. Yeah. You have the experience to help support her and start this new phase together. So excited for, both of you to see this new phase and kind of bringing this family and then bringing another one to the joint. Yeah.
And there's going to be no shortness of love. These 3 kids that I've got are just cannot wait. It's going to be incredible and fun to see this new baby boy. And so it's going to be really fun with that aspect, and to see Kate in that atmosphere too, as a baby of her own too. And, she treats my kids as her own, but, it's going to be really awesome to see her step into that role. And, I think all of it's positive, and she's running her own business too. Yeah. So it's crazy.
Talk a little bit about that. Cause I know that's, on top of all the things that we talk about that she's doing of being pregnant with her first child, helping you in your life, helping with your kids.
Yeah.
And then now she's like, well, I might as well just go, run a business too.
Well, she's a rock star. That's really what it is. But she's doing something called Steniverse with the University of Utah. It is an app that pretty much consolidates all the apps at the U right now. So if you go to the University of Utah, or your faculty, or whatever capacity you're at the U, if you're alumni, if you're a fan, all of the apps, it's ridiculous how many apps there are.
So many.
So it's wrapped into one single centralized hub for U of U Health, for the bookstore, for ticketing, for everything that you need is on her app. And it's called the One U, but it's powered by Steniverse, which is her company. And she's doing incredible things. Like, I'm constantly like amazed by what she's doing, but pretty much that's what they're doing. They're the ones that really springboarded getting Wi-Fi in the stadium. They have high-speed Wi-Fi if you get the One U app. But just the best part about all of this is just our interactions with each other. I mean, we're both in startup company worlds, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll get home, maybe put on a show for a second, and then, you know, more than likely we'll be on a Zoom call or a call with an investor, or on our laptop looking at our next day or planning all the time. Like, we bounce ideas off each other, and we're in similar boats with situations, so we can really help each other out with what we're doing with the businesses. So it's awesome. It's fun.
And it's so nice to have someone that understands. Like, I couldn't imagine, because I've dated a couple people that do like very different things than me.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like I can't come home and be like, oh, let me tell you about my day. Like, over my head. Yeah. I don't understand.
Especially with tech.
That sounds hard. Great.
Yeah.
But when you have someone's like, oh, guess what happened? They're like, oh, I remember when that happened to me. Like, it's just someone who can at least understand, sympathize, empathize. It goes a long way, because there's nothing more isolating than just being like, well, I can't talk to you about this. Like, my cousin, he works in the Air Force and is like, I mean, everything is completely under wraps.
Can't say anything.
Yeah. And then like, I was like, so what do you do when you get home? He's like, I just can't talk about work.
That's
like,
hard.
That's weird.
That's hard and weird.
Well, and it is what it is. And I'm sure he's not the only one that has that, but I just can't imagine just being like, well, the thing that stresses me out the most or caused me the most, like,
can't talk
internal struggle, that's just me.
This is my problem. I'm going to take it on. No, we could be like, hey, what KPIs do we have for our financial meeting this, like, what, like, or you can just talk about things that are like relevant for your business on a high level with each other, and know kind of where each other's at with their company.
Yeah.
And that's like, that goes a long way just in a relationship, you know? They tell you something that you might not want to hear, but no. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like the hard stuff.
Example.
Like, well, I don't know of one that I should say, but, let's do this for an example. Like, I had an employee for a long time that I knew I should get rid of, right? For a long time. And, you know, Kate was saying like, yeah, I don't think this is going to go well. You need, like, I think you should probably cut ties sooner than later. I knew it in my soul, but I just didn't want to do it, and was kind of like hesitant to do it or whatever, but I knew I needed to do it. It ended up being the best decision I ever made. For sure. But at the time, it was hard. It was a little bit harder to hear, because he seemed like a big player, and looking back on it, I was so grateful for it. Right, I was so grateful for it, but it was also very hard to hear. That's why I said like you might hear things that you disagree with, but end up being a big blessing too for your company or for the growth of your company. So it's been a fun atmosphere. I will not say it's always been fun for either of us. It's been stressful and hard.
Still work,
still startup phase, but I think we're doing a really good job managing it all.
Definitely.
And adding a fourth kid is going to be crazy.
It's another degree of difficulty added to an already chaotic life,
but beautiful at the same time, you know, and so we're stoked on it. But
so, I mean, besides car concierge, crazy kids, and catching up with all that, I mean, what else do you like to do in your spare time, or what keeps you here?
Great question. As I mentioned, I haven't skateboarded as much since I broke my foot, but I do love to skateboard, snowboard. I take my kids out skiing all the time. I've got a good solid group of friends that we get together every week and just chat and really try to like conquer the world's problems.
I mean, you guys do have like, there's a couple, and I don't know, I mean, it's because it's my own like social circles, but there's like a couple different grades from good old East High that have like maintained these great friendships.
Oh yeah.
And like your guys' is definitely one of them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We've got a good group of friends.
I mean, even it goes back to like even Taylor Strong, they got you a job. And
yeah. Oh no, everyone like bounces ideas off each other. We're really, but like, yeah, I hang out with those friends. I sometimes golf, sometimes play tennis. So I try my best to stay active with the kids. I love getting in the mountains, dude. The mountains are like my place.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And so I'm sure you do too.
Oh yeah. And like when I grew up, I mean, especially before I was like before my parents split up, like I lived up in like the upper avenues where now I'm like trail running there all the time. But like when you're the child in a relationship or marriage that's like failing, your parents aren't like, well, let's go do fun things outside, you know? Yeah. And so it's been fun now in my adult life as I came back to Salt, be like, oh, I do want to experience this. Cause I mean, the thousands of people that move here are like, do you understand what you have?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I try to lean into more of that energy. But
Did you move out of the state?
Yeah, so I was
besides summer sales, or
so I did after school, moved to Seattle for almost 4 years, came back, and then traveled in a van for 6 months, and then came back.
I knew that part. I knew the van part.
Yeah. That was. I was talking to someone about it because they're going to Oregon and they were going to drive, and I was like, oh, if you're going to go to Oregon, you have to go to Boardman Scenic Corridor. You have to go stop by Crater Lake. You have to go to like. They're like, how do you know all this? I'm like, because I lived in a van and I went to all of these places.
What was the biggest takeaway from the van? Would you say the van life?
I mean, so the intent of it more or less was to find a place that I wanted to set up shop and like settle down.
And you ended up back in Salt Lake.
And I come to find out that this place is pretty damn special.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like the amount of places I would drive through, be like, this hasn't been a good place to be in 20 years. There is no economy. There are no young people. There are no, outdoor activities. The cost of living is too high. And so there was a couple where I was like, this could maybe work, but then there's like huge issues. And it wasn't until like I got done with it where I remember I was in Washington, DC, walking around the mall, and I was like, I'm more excited to go home than I ever have been.
That's a good realization, I think. And I think that happens to a lot of people, a lot of people end up coming back to Salt Lake.
Oh, so many.
I mean, I still feel like even though tons of people are coming here, I do feel like it's still a hidden gem. Like you talk to people about Utah, well, what's in Utah? Like
what isn't in Utah?
I'm like, I don't know. Have you seen Moab?
Yeah, or Zion? Yeah, Zion, St. George. Have you ever skied in the Wasatch Front? Have you ever been to Park City? Have you ever, you can drive 3 hours either which way and you'll be in a completely different place. Yeah. Close airport, great community, clean city, economic, growth like crazy, population growth like crazy.
Well, whenever like the country like has a hardship, it seems like Utah is not that affected. It is affected, but not as much for sure as other states. Yeah. Like Utah is pretty protected that way as far as economy goes. But putting in a plug for Thane Rich, he just came out with a new video called Brap Ski 4. I don't know if you've seen it.
I did.
But he skis Bryce Canyon.
It's so sick.
He skis Bryce Canyon. I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever. If you haven't seen that, you need it. It sounds like you've seen it, but for the listeners, check that out. It's awesome.
Because I saw, he posted the teaser for it, and I was like watching it, kind of like, it's one of those like watching on my phone as I have a show on, and I was like swiping, and then I see someone in a chute, but I could see Red Rock, obviously. I was like, oh yeah. Hold on, like being from Utah, like that doesn't really work that way. Yeah. And so as I went back and then watched, I was like, he's done it again.
I know he's done it again. Masterpiece, another.
Thane is hilarious, and I'm hoping I'm recording with him next week. But like me and his life have overlapped so much. I remember because when I moved down to the neighborhood from the avenues, I was like when I had started snowboarding, and then it was funny. It was me, Thane, and Brandon Bowen. Winter at Bonneville Golf Course on the 18th hole where we built a little jump. Yeah. And I was like, I'm never snowboarding again. And Thane's like, I'm going to try a backflip. I'm like, do it. Oh yeah. And now here he is.
I remember towing him into the Bonneville like quadruple kink in front of Bonneville Elementary School. And he was like 12 years old. I was like, you're a nutcase.
You could definitely tell that Eric and Colson and Jesse had
influenced
the hell out of him.
For sure, in a good way, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They tell stories. He'll probably tell, maybe he won't, but I'll tell you.
There we go.
But like Eric's group of friends, like Mike and Paul Taylor and all those people, they were hidden like, I think it was Pyramid, don't quote me on that, but it was some big gap in Grizzly Gulch. And he would hike up like 90 extra feet to hit it. And just because he was so tiny. Yeah.
It's like, I need a little more speed.
Like we're starting here. He's like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going to just clear it,
Yeah, hopefully I don't case it.
So yeah, so he's he's incredible. He's doing great stuff. So that'd be cool if you get him
Thane's
on.
the man. A lot of gratitude. It's funny because I see him in the wild probably once a year. I saw him at Goth Babe concert at Granary Live, him and Mal.
Oh, nice.
And then I saw him at the Garten at Mountain West Cidery with him. That was the first time I met his wife.
Yeah.
But and he's always because there's people I see, and we all have people we run into where it's hey, good to see you. Good, gotta go. Not as excited to see someone, which is fine. But then there's people you see, you're come, brother, come here.
Yeah.
How are you? What is new? And it's just so, honest and sincere. That's every time I see things.
Well, you've never not seen him.
Yeah.
That's those are the best. That's how it is. If you don't mind a little side tangent, that's how it is exactly with Andrew Nelson with me.
Yeah.
I feel when I see Andrew Nelson, I'm dude, I haven't seen you forever, but we're best friends, you know?
It's no time has gone by.
Yeah. That's how it seems, and so, there's certain people like that. They're just true friendships that will last forever, the test of time, It's awesome. We're right now working on the RFP for the valet at Salt Lake International, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we've been doing the pilot valet. The pilot valet version has been going on for about 6 months out of a location that's kind of inconvenient. And then we're bidding on the RFP for either curbside or parking garage second level, where we will have our signage up. You just pull up, hand keys, and leave, and then there will be an iPad that you just click on what you want done, pull up, hand keys, click what you want done, and take off, and it's done.
So easy.
Well, you're gone. So right now, the hope is that would start sometime in February. That's going to be just huge to springboard Fleetly in the dailies, right? The ones that do our daily servicing, not our monthly subscriptions. And then also we're opening up our Heber location. Our Heber location is 26,000 square feet right across from the airport up there.
Oh, wow.
And it opens end of December.
Crazy.
So I'll host a Cars for Coffee up there next spring. We'll have a grand opening, which I'd love for you to come.
I'll come see some cool cars.
Yeah, and then we need to put 120 cars in there. So we've got a big task at hand. So long-term, short-term storage, just management, detail work, whatever you need done, we're going to handle out of Heber to manage the Wasatch back. They will manage Victory Ranch, Park City, everything in the back with Oakley, Camas, Heber.
Oh, yeah. There's so many people that own, even my friend's dad who has a ranch up there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The person he bought it from was, I can't remember, some exec at a Fortune 500 company, and he would come in a couple times a year.
Yeah.
And there's so many of those examples, but then also just wealthier people who would want something like that.
Well, for sure. And I understand a lot of people don't fly into Heber because of people and gas prices and stuff up there are a lot more than Salt Lake. So my pitch to the people that would be Park City people that fly out of Salt Lake would be to use our Salt Lake location, because instead of paying $375 is the going rate for one time an executive service like the Snow Countries and the other limo services that will take you down, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
Right? So keep your car seats in your car and your skis and all your stuff and just pull right up, and we'll take it from there, right? You save on that transportation fee, and we'll manage it for you and make sure everything's properly done. And then when you fly back, you can just drive home. You can stop at the grocery store on your way home.
Yeah.
Don't
have to worry about a stranger in a car and uncomfortable. Might as well be your car and
especially,
be home.
Kids, business, people that are busy with business, just anyone that values time are the people we're looking for. So it's not a certain amount of money. It's not a certain amount of net worth. It's not a certain quality of car even. It's people that have better things to do, like doing a podcast to try to impact the world, right? Mm-hmm. That's very important. And if I can have someone fix your windshield right now while you're doing this, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I would not hate that.
Right? So that's the direction we're going. We're hoping to expand. The next ones on our docket are probably Ogden for Wasatch Peaks Ranch. Provo will probably happen, and then we're going to go to John Wayne and Palm Springs.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah, so John Wayne and Palm Springs will eventually happen. So all of these connecting areas for people that travel frequently, we'll be able to service cars at both ends. So if you're going to your second home in Orange County, your car is already ready to go.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to your house and worry about
And it's all done in the same place with the same people. They know your preferences and what you want. And it just makes it like, again, you're just getting time back.
We're giving time back to the people that want to spend it with a family or work or whatever they want to do. And when they put it, the app is so in depth that when you put in your flight info, it's going to ping if we have a place there. So if you are flying into John Wayne, it's going to ping our people to prep cars. So they prep cars, have it there, and then you're dropping off your car here in Salt Lake. We're starting to work on that car. Yeah. And you fly there and your car is ready to go. So the idea is really big. Yeah. It could potentially be something where we're in a lot of different areas and servicing a lot of people, and I hope that's the case. So.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it because I see the place for it. Everybody wants great customer service that they can rely on. That again, like they want time back. They want to focus on the things that they want to focus on, and everybody has a different definition of what that is. But when you can have people that you can trust to take care of things to get done, especially with something that's so integral in, I mean, all of our lives. I mean, especially with Salt Lake. Salt Lake's a very big car city. Yeah. And so the thought of landing here and being like, okay, I have to go to the office or do this, or I have to go to a trip and be like, oh no, I have to, even something as simple as I have to stop and get gas. Like that can throw a wrench into anything.
I mean, I have a client right now that's in the home and office program, and I can't tell you how many times it's just like, can you just fill up my car while I'm at the office?
Okay. I'll swing by.
Yeah. I swing by, fill up car, fill up fluids, or my team members do. Make sure their def is filled up because it's a diesel. Check tire pressure, return it, and he comes out at the end of the day, long day, doesn't even have to stop at a gas station.
Nope.
Little things like that. But we have a lot of exciting partnerships coming up with big people. Some of them like OK3 Air in Heber is a big one. Sea to Ski Property Management in Park City. Don McKenna Group. Obviously Salt Lake International, which I've already mentioned. And then some that are in the works that I wish I could mention.
Hey, in due time. No, definitely something I'm going to pay attention to because I love Salt Lake in general because there's such an entrepreneurial spirit and community around it. I mean, not just in like the Silicon Slopes everybody thinks about, but by and large kind of everywhere. I mean, you and Kate are great examples of that. Yeah. And so anything that we can do to support those entrepreneurs, see things grow. I mean, I think we're all rooting for each other. Like I would never, like the person who would look at something like this be like, well, I don't know if I believe. It's like, come on, man. Like, root for the little guys, root for everyone that are small. Anybody can root for something big. We'll see it grow.
I mean, anyone that's not stoked for someone else's success, there's a problem there.
Yeah, I don't have time for those
people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's a quote by Kendrick Lamar I like, and he says, I hope all my homies make it, even if I'm the last one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like, I'll always hope everybody, like if someone becomes a billionaire before I become a million, like whatever arbitrary thing it is, like I will still be stoked for my friend. I'm not going to be like, well, you got this. Like it's so played out and doesn't do anything except for take away from you in their moment.
100%. Completely agree with that. And I think there's too many people out there that don't hate, like haters, like that don't lift you up, you know? But for me, it's so crazy maybe it's because the salesman role that I had at Audi, I just came in with blinders on. Like I came in not listening to anyone. Like people would, like old car dogs is what we call them. Like the older people that are used to like, what's it going to take to get you in a car today? You know, like those types of people would just be like, who's this 21-year-old coming in here and thinking he's going to outsell me?
Yeah.
And just talk. And I put on blinders and just duck head. And that's converted to business. Like I have so many times where I'm meeting with someone and they're like, well, this company does this, which is sort of similar. What about property management companies or what about executive assistants? Dude, I don't know if there's something wrong with me and I just believe in my company so much, but it's like I'm back in the stage of blinders on. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Right? Like, and I think that's I hope it's a good attitude to have.
But you can't be even like swayed that much. Like you can't, you have to be able to stick the path, but also like kind of what you're talking about, I mean, believing in yourself and the vision that you have. Oh, yeah. And to be that like shaken by every single person who like doesn't believe in you or says, well, have you thought about this? And there's a quote I saw the other day and it was in the context of like, I mean, content creation where they're like, Every idea you think of, someone's probably done. Everyone who wants to create what you want to create, it's probably been done. The only difference is you're now the one doing it.
Yeah.
And your voice is different. Your idea is different. You have different context. And I think you're a great example of that where, car service isn't a new thing.
Yeah.
White glove service isn't a new thing. But the way that your experiences have dictated to where you are today and the vision that you have is going to be unique to you and is going to provide a different level of success that other people have seen in their own success.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope so. Well, and same goes to you. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there.
There's a lot of
podcasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, hey, we're doing it. We're doing exactly what, and I heard something as well that was, I forget what it was or where I saw it, but he said, if I told you you were 32 no's away from $1 billion deal, wouldn't you be stoked to hear a no?
Yeah.
And it's like, would that change your attitude on hearing no? I hear no a ton. Yeah. And it's just normal from like whatever partnerships, groups, or it might be the airport if they say no, but he put it in perspective of accept the no's because you're getting closer to a yes. Right. And I love that because I like gravitate towards that. But I think that's very huge in like sales, especially.
Totally.
Right.
Some people get so downtrodden. It's like, just keep going.
Yep, just keep going. Do your thing.
Not everyone's going to buy. Not everyone's a customer, but someone will be.
Well, and the last thing I'll say is, it showed another thing that I learned in like a high intensity sales market would be, it shows a lot of character what you do when you aren't selling cars or when you're down, right? If you still do the right thing. Right? If your values and morals are not affected. I never wanted a client to feel like I needed a paycheck. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like feel like that pressure. Like what's it going to take to get a car sold today? I never liked that. I don't want them to worry about me. I want to make sure that it's I'm taking care of you. And I think when people first, money follows. That's kind of been my motto as far as car sales and hopefully with Fleetly culture that I'm trying to create. But I just think character is such a big deal with starting a business because it's not only something you want in yourself, but you want to find employees like that too. Yeah.
And if you're not that person, you're not going to like those other people aren't going to gravitate towards it.
For sure. Yeah.
Like-minded people find themselves together.
Yep.
But I want to end with the two questions I always ask everybody at the end of every episode.
Please, yeah.
Number one, if you could have someone on the Small Lake City podcast and hear more about what they're up to, who would you want to hear from?
I mean, I would do Thane and Jesse Rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go down my cousins. Of course.
And they lived here.
It's true. It's the first time I ever saw a pair of full tilt ski boots was here in this house. Because Thane's like, I got these boots. They're pretty cool, huh? I'm like, sure. Side tangent. And then lastly, if people want to find out more info about Fleetly, how to sign up and keep updated for, cool partnerships like Salt Lake International, what's the best way to find information?
So we've got Fleetly SLC on Instagram, and then just fleetly.com for our website. I don't handle the other socials. I couldn't even tell you what TikTok and Facebook are. That's so bad? Is that not?
No, I have learned. I've tried to do all of the socials, and what it made me realize is I'm not there to do all this. I prioritize Instagram.
Yeah, there'll be a Fleetly SLC, which is our handle for Instagram, and there'll be a Fleetly Heber for like the grand opening and our Cars for Coffee, which is going to be an awesome event. All of that will be on Instagram and then also on our website too. You can pre-reserve a spot at Heber for 15% off right now on our website. So if someone has like an RV or something they want to store right now, they can get it in there ahead of time at a discounted rate until we open.
Perfect.
Yep.
Might as well. If you're going to do it, might as well save some money in the process.
Yep. Right.
But Warner, thank you so much. I'm so excited to see what happens with Fleetly. Excited for the new baby to come. Excited with Stenoverse and Kate's new venture as well. You guys are crushing it. And hopefully only good things to come.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And let's go skateboarding and skating.
Deal. Don't tempt me with a good time. Just don't break our feet.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Salt Lake City Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, review, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends. And we'll catch you next week. We'll see you there.